Right, here we go. Another new project landed. So this is something a bit different again. We do see them occasionally, but not that often. Got an MNR here. So this was a customer who bought a kit. Basically, I think he's sat in his garage for quite a while now. He's reached out to us to basically build the car because it's not really got much done to it, really. The tub's on, the interior's on, a few bits of suspension components, front and rear that have been bolted on, the steering column. The wiring loom's been, I'm going to say, loosely laid in. Well, that's going to be fun. What do you reckon, guys? Whoa, dear. That looks like fun, doesn't it? So, yeah, fuel lines kind of laid in, I suppose, in there, etc. So, quite like the colour. It's a bit different, a bit unique. So this build you'll see progression as well. It's a Mazda engine that's going in this particular one. I think it's got like a T28 flange turbo over there. In fact, the engine's over there, ready to go in. Mazda running gear all the way through. So it's got Mazda uprights. Our brake kit, by the looks of it, that's on it. Does look like our one that he's used. So it's very different kind of car. MNR is a 7S silhouette car. It's definitely heavier than ours. We've tried to pick it up. She's heavy. It's definitely heavier than what we do. It's got a big cage on it as well. That again is taller than what we do, and very different way of doing things. It's like everything. There's 20 ways to skin a cat, as they say. How they mount a diff is very different. This is a round tube chassis, etc. as well, but different body work. That you only have one choice of the lights. You can't have oval. If you want, you have round. That is it. You can't have square LEDs or anything else because these body tubs come a bit like Westfield, really moulded. So you can only do round LED lights, not like what's on here. These are extremely popular. Elliot's going to swing around there. These are extremely popular because they're all in one, built in, neat, tidy, got the reflector, IVA compliant, got the reverse light. But yeah, that's going to be rolling along. You'll see this project evolve. We've got lots of parts to dive through. This only landed a couple of days ago. We've got lots of parts to go through and sort out what he needs in terms of, because I know he hasn't got everything here for the kit. But yeah, we'll work with the customer on that and what he wants and what spec and everything else. So yeah, you'll see this this evolve. But I think the engine's been dynoed on this, and I think he's somewhere in the 300 to 350 plus. Now I know what our Mazda turbo car went like. That was in that sort of region. We dialed it down to just over 300. It was a weapon. So this will be great. Once he gets this, I guarantee you the one thing he won't do, it will definitely put a smile on his face. Right, here we are, MNR time. So Vortex, which you see landed the other week. Well, the first job we set about doing on this particular vehicle was bolting the gearbox to the engine, which has been done, putting the diff in, putting the prop shaft in, and everything else. We wanted to do a bit of a mock-up because we looked at the width of this as I saw it on the pallet, and I threw some question marks straight away that I don't want to start building anything else on the car until we prove that this does fit in the engine bay. Well, it's in, but does it fit? That's the question. Well, and the short answer is not really. We are bang up against the chassis here on the turbo, and we are outside of the bonnet here on the throttle body. So we couldn't even get the bonnet on. We've raised this up. The engine mounts that come with this particular kit, nothing wrong with them. They're made, they're pretty good, but they don't have any holes or anything drilled in them. You kind of got to position it where you think you want to do, then drill your own holes, which is a bit backwards because you have to sort of dry fit it all, drill your holes, and then take it all out of the way, especially the gearbox. There's no way you're getting in there and drilling a hole once that's in. There's no gearbox mounting holes, etc. So it's a bit fiddly, so it's probably got to come out anyway. But at the moment, we've come back as far as we can go, and it's still not fitting. We're going to do some slight modifications, but spend another hour. But realistically, the best option would have been a low mount turbo manifold. So instead of this top mount one, and the turbo's out here, sticking right up high, a bit like we did with our grey one, we did a low mount turbo one, which sets right down here. That'll give us at least 50 mil to come over, no problem. MNR Vortex time, Mazda build. Well, we've been on with this, as you know, but we're trying to go backwards before we go forwards. A couple of decisions have been made though. We will be removing even this turbo manifold and going for the low mount. I think we said to you that last week, because it will not fit in this engine bay, period. It's too big, too wide, just won't go in. So we'll drop the turbo down. We've already clocked it and measured it up. We get the turbo sat down here with a low mount manifold. Second thing is, this came with a Mark 1 5-speed gearbox. Now this particular customer's aiming for north of 300 around horsepower. You're really pushing the max limits of a 5-speed gearbox at that sort of horsepower number, especially on the Mark 1. It's a bit weaker, so we'll be changing it out to a 6-speed, which should be more comfortable, it's more durable, it's sort of good for around 350, 400 plus sort of horsepower. So we'll be swapping that out from this to, it'll be a used component, but a 6-speed, which will be much more durable. So the bodywork and everything else has come off. We've even taken the bulkhead off. We've been in with the pedal box here. The pedal box we wasn't happy with because it didn't have no throttle return spring. So we made a spring for that as well. Pop that in there because it's just not going to be very nice to very run and get a nice throttle return on it. We've run the fuel lines in as well, the return lines. The feed line was already in, but we've run the return line in here, and that moves through. We've had to remove this bulkhead. This is all a bit scratched and marked, so we made that look a bit nicer anyway before we put that back on, because it was just really looking second-handish, unfortunately. Handbrake lever, we've got to figure this one out, because I think this vehicle is more been made for a Ford setup than a Mazda setup by the looks of it, because this doesn't work with Mazda handbrake cables, and this bracketry doesn't work with Mazda handbrake cables particularly well, or if it did, it was designed, it's not particularly great. We normally use the Mazda handbrake rather than the aftermarket one, and when you run that through what we were supplied, actually we've got some bits in here that are incorrect. We were supplied Ford Sierra handbrake cables with a kit. They won't fit onto the calipers. If you've got a Mazda one, so a Mazda handbrake has what's called like a T on the end here. Elliot can probably zoom in. That fits onto the handbrake. Well, a Sierra one has like what we call an envelope window, which you can probably see through there, has an envelope. Well, that's what's supplied with a kit. They will not work, unfortunately. So I think this has been sort of more set up for a Ford. And the reason I say that is because we put the diff in, which I'll show you in a second. We went to put this in, and this is the prop shaft that's supplied with the kit. That's for a Ford Sierra. So that doesn't meet the end of this diff. It doesn't line up in any way, shape or form. So we're going to have to do a different prop shaft, unfortunately, because that's a Ford one. So a couple of bits that were the wrong supplied in the kit. But when you come to the back here, what we've done now, we've finally got all the old engine mounts out. We've put our setup in that we use the poly bushes because the other ones are, well, just ground off and ruined. Cleaned and painted all the diff up. That's gone in and bolted in for the final time. So that's cool, we're happy with that. Then we thought, right, well, we'll do the fuel system. We've got the fuel lines and returns in ready. We'll put them in. So this is the tank that is supplied, which is fine. It's not a nicely welded tank, nothing wrong with that at all. But there's a couple of issues that we found that was going to cause us problems. And we can cut and shut it, of course we can, and fabricate, but there's nowhere for a fuel sender on this tank. So if you want to know how much fuel you've got in your tank, depending on what instrumentation you put in there, there's nowhere now. So that have to be welded on. Secondly, we've got a very small swell put on the bottom here with a very small outlet. It looks like an 8mm outlet. Don't think that's quite enough to run the power that he's looking at. This tank, great for a bike engine, and NA would absolutely suit it, no problem at all. But for a turbo setup, we've got 10mm pipe here. We'll look at the pipe there, and that, it doesn't work. So well, what do you do with that then? Well, the straps that are supplied, I'm not putting them in. I mean, that's what's not going to work in, guys. I mean, we do a strap similar to this, but at least it's double the thickness, so it's strong. That's somewhere in the region of 30 kilos of fuel sitting in that's got a held in with, looks like about 1.2mm strap. Don't mean that's going to work. So what we'll do, this is one of our bent tanks. We haven't welded it up yet because we'll make it work, but that goes in, and funny enough, fits in perfectly. So that'll go in. We'll do the Mazda fuel pump setup on the top here, same as what we've got on this car. We'll run the in-tank pump, so it will sit in there in a swirl pot, and the in-tank pump, we can put a 255 litre per hour pump in there, or even bigger if we need to, but a 255 should be plenty for the sort of 300 horsepower. It'll have the fuel sender and everything else in it, the filler neck and the returns. Again, similar size though, it's 33 litres, it's plenty enough. This was somewhere around 30 litres as well, but this setup is going to work way better, especially if you're running that sort of power with turbo. You do not want that car leaning out or having any kind of fuel starvation, because that will just destroy your engine. So yeah, we're on with it, but we're going a little bit backwards and maybe having to make custom parts a little bit to make it work and make it all fit. And then we've trial fitted the interior panels and the bodywork bits, which is why they're all off, and then we set about fettling them before they go on for the final time. So there's progress, but it's gone backwards to go forward. But we've got a good direction on the Vortex now. Right, here we are, guys. We haven't done anything for a little while on this. We've been waiting for some parts, MNR time. Well, the engine's gone in pretty much for the final time now. So this is a customer supplied engine, fully forged, reconditioned engine. We've now got rid of the old 5-speed gearbox. We've now got a 6-speed gearbox, which is in. We made the bracket for it. We modified all the prop shaft, made the prop shaft for this particular vehicle because the one that was supplied with it, if you subscribed, you would remember, it was a Ford one. So we made the Mazda one to fit it. Everything else, that's all gone in. Now we're setting up with clutch lines gone in. So we've checked the operation of the clutch. It's always good. Get the engine in, make sure you're happy with the clutch. We've bled it all up ready, and we know that when we press the clutch here, we've got an engaging clutch just in case there was any faults with it. That's all gone in. We've tidied up the engine, tidied up the alternator. That's all gone in the engine. That's gone. And now Ben's on with well, he's on with the scuttle, modifying that because the steering column's gone in. That's all been trimmed and cut and modified to fit. It doesn't just bolt in, unfortunately. There's quite a bit of modification required and trimming to do that. We've put a temporary seat in here so that we can make sure we were okay with the steering column heights and alignment for where the driver will sit, because there's adjustability in this, as you can see. Because you get one shot on these, one shot, because the dashboard is incorporated into the scuttle. So you get one shot. So the hole's been drilled in that. You have to make sure it's in the right position. You can't reposition or buy a new dashboard. You have to buy the whole thing otherwise. So that's check, measure twice, 3 times before you drill, sort of thing. So that's been gone on. Handbrake cables have gone in, and then he's been mocking up on the nose cone as well. So lots of little jobs now as well to do to mock up to get this. We're going to be doing a water pump delete kit. So we've got the back housing off here. We've got a machined up part which is here somewhere. These parts basically we're going to use in the back housing. We put this back in, we use the back housing on here and come off for that for the pipe work as well for the water pump delete. So yeah, she's progressing. We're trimming all and modifying the bodywork which we've got down here, and then we do the final fit bolting of the engine mounts once we settle the turbo in position. So yeah. Okay guys, it's MNR Mazda time. We've been on with this, as you know. We've been waiting for some parts. The first thing we was waiting for was changing the turbo manifold. We have finally got that. It's taken a few weeks to come in, but it does put everything where we need it to be. So now we've changed to that top mount manifold, which was this one. I'll get it over there, because it would not fit in the engine. That fits that way in here. And once you're in there, the turbo, as you would see, will be out here somewhere, which is not going to work. So now what we've done, we've fitted a low mount one in there. Now we've done this install before on our Mazda turbo as well, and it gives you a turbo look. You can see the room now what we have down here to play with. We can now position the engine, which is what we've set about. Position the engine, make sure it clears the bonnet, because with MNR, for some reason, they make you drill your own holes where the engine mounts and you position it wherever you want, it seems to be. But we've got this set up, we've got a nice little billet set up on here, which is for the cooling. So this is going to be our link pipe going from here. We've got a little feed pipe going to here. It will go up to the header tank. This will then go to the bottom of the rad. We've also got the takeoff pipes here and here for cooling, water cooling the turbo. That's all been put in. We're now doing the takeoff for the reroute kit at the back. We're going to take the standard housing off the front, and because we haven't got the coil packs on the back of the Mazda engineer, we can reuse this with the thermostat housing at the back and run a reroute kit and blank this one off at the front. So we no longer need that. We'll blank that and we'll bring it in here and out of there, and it definitely helps when you're doing turbo to do the reroute kit. Next job, we've got the bonnet, we've got the scuttle on, that's been cut and trimmed, and the final hole for the steering column all put in, all nice and precise. I mean, the guys have gone to millimetre perfect here on this, so they've done a nice job. We've got all the engine gearbox you've seen already bolted in on this one. So now that's on, we dry fit all the bonnet, all the nose cone, get all that finished. That will get put away, and then we can finish on the, basically, we're going to change this which is the feed for the turbo. Well, it's going to be shortened, and we'll take it off this back takeoff here actually, instead of running it all the way around there, because we noticed that this one, some reason, somebody's got a massive kink on this. So we're going to get rid of that part which goes in here. We'll shorten it to here, put a 90 off of this feed, and that would basically feed the turbo then as well. So she's cracking on now. We've got the parts. Now that she's got the parts, she's starting the motor, which will be nice. You get the bodywork on, side panel, the body tub's over there. That's all been trimmed out. It's just sat over there, ready for that to bolt on, so it suddenly start looking like a car. MNR Vortex Mazda turbo time. Been on with this over the last things. We're trying to create a lot of parts to put onto the vehicle. First job is the body panel's gone back on here, the rear tub. We've cut all these holes and neatened and tidied them all up. Adrian's done a cracking job of that, because it was all chipped and marked and didn't quite clear the wishbones and everything else, so we're making it all nice and neat, and then we can trim that up for IVA. So you've got to put a trim around this for IVA, because that comes as a sharp edge. We've got the intercooler on and the 70mm radiator in that combination, so this is for the turbo car. That's all been mounted on, etc. as well. Engine's pretty much in its final position now, so the engine mounts can be drilled. We've been on with rear arches, making sure that all the bodywork was in the right position. So we had to put the rear arches in to make sure this rear tub, because the whole body panel here can move quite a bit actually, like 15-20mm either way. So making sure that this is all good. So the rear arches have gone on for that. We've made the new back panel. The back panel's here, so this will go in for the interior one. We made the new alley one for this. So that'll go on into the back panel, because the plastic one was a bit cracked and split. So that will be the next job as well. The scuttle's going on next as well. Adrian's just doing that now. He's cutting all the holes over there for it all, making that fit with the steering column and everything else. And we're going to make it so it's basically usable, because normally it can't come off, but you can't get to all your electrics in. So we're going to make it so it can bolt off, to make it user friendly again for the end user. If you get any problems later on, then you can get to all your electrics, your wire and everything else as well. So yeah, cracking on with that. Turbo's on, link pipes are on, coolant pipes are on, and all of that, all the nice bits that are on there. And then we start bolting the A-arms on shortly with our brake kit that's on here actually, and of course Jordan vented that disc as well. So that's the next job to start focusing on. Right, more Mazda time, more Mazda turbo time. It's like Mazda turbo day today. What we got going on here, which is the MNR that we've done with a low mount on it. The turbo's mounted down lower, different. It's a bigger turbo, so you can't get it in on this particular chassis. Quite a bit's been done though. All the loom is now in. It's a nice new loom in here that's all been run round, all saddle bushed under here, all the way through to the rear and front of the car, and all mounted under here. We've got this, we won't get it off, but we've got an ECU tray we've made for in there, all the wiring, all the relays, everything is all tucked neatly under here, with a fuse board all facing forward, wiring loom all run the way through the chassis out to the rear, etc. as well. Battery mounts in. This will be like the catch tank that we're saying we're bringing for the oil, which will come off of the breathers, one here and one here, which is where we're going to mount it. Header tank's been made and ready to fit here. Then all the boost pipes have been made and done. The coolant lines have been done for the turbo. The coolant lines for the radiators are all done and in, and the reroute kit to the back of the head. This is a modification that's done on quite a lot of turbo stuff actually. If Elliot pings down here, come from the back of the head instead of the top of the front of the engine here. We bring it at the back. It helps with coolant and going back out, and normally this only has like a 19mm outlet for the heater. We get rid of that, put on this one because it hasn't got the coil pack. We can actually run the one from the front to the rear and then bring that back with a 32mm pipe all the way up to the intercooler. On the intercooler side at the front here, that's all mounted up, mocked up, and then we made a scoop here that will hopefully then drive some of the cooler air up, again stopping the warmer air getting to the air filter here, and bring some colder air intake into that as well. So that's been mocked, and that'll be just a few fine fettling bits to do on that, just a probably a black powder coat as well, and that'll neaten that all up. Bodyworks are completely all dry fitted on this car, all done, bonnet, nose cone, all been mocked, all clearances done as well, because we had to shim this engine left and right to make sure it all cleared. Under the centre tunnel's done, the seats have all been mocked up and fitted now. These are all fitted in. On this particular one, it has been mocked up on the other side, but the seat's all done. And then completely in the back of the car, I think we said to you before, but the back end's pretty much buttoned up apart from the wiring now. This is the loom, which will run out to all the lights. And these are all nicely labelled up here for where we want to send them to, or if you're trying to trace it later on if you've got any faults. So what have we got here? need your glasses on, so it's just the side light there, for example, that'll run out through there and into the side light, but it's all nicely labelled here. So fault find it at a later date if you ever get any problems. So much easier. So yeah, M&R is coming along quite nicely now. Lots of little bits done, lots of the tricky fabrication stuff. All the centre tunnel, we've taken it out now because we put the loom in, but we have to do a lot of dry mock-up on this particular car. Centre tunnel's up there, full up with tape still at the moment, but that will go back in once that's done for the final fit and finish. So lots of dry mock-up, take off, fit in, finish, and yeah, moving forward quite nicely. I love a Mazda Turbo. Right, M&R Mazda Turbo time. We are on with the bodywork now. Bodywork should be fitted for the last time. It's all been trimmed. I've done all the final fit and finishes on this. We've made the template. We're going to, next job is to cut the exhaust hole, which we've made a template for, which is why we had to mock it all up in preparation. This is the turbo link type that we've done. That bolts onto the turbo in that position, and this will fit down here, which you saw last week, guys. So we're going to make a hole in a panel here for this to slot in and go up, and that'll be fitted on. Right, bodywork wise, on this particular one, we have to fit it. It's a one-piece tub, so the two sides are attached to the rear tub. So you have to take the front end off on this, and then slot it all over and do the final fit. And we'll cut the hole in the side here, where it's going to be, where the exhaust will mount through. But obviously on our one, it's much. It's not, there's two ways of doing it, I suppose, but it's simpler in the sense of you can fit that panel and the boot panel and the back panel here, and then this side you can just cut that and replace it, etc. as well. It's a bit simpler, but the one-piece tub is nice when you're first installing it because it's simple. So there's two different ways of doing it. We do it in 3 pieces, M&R do it in 1 piece, and I think Westfield do it in 1 piece as well. So there's a few ways of different companies that do different things. No way, no right, no wrong way. Just each of their different. Quite like the little scoop bits in this though. It's quite nice little detail that they've done onto that body panel there, and nice little locating lugs on the rear arches. So some nice little details there. So we'll fit the rear tub, and that'll be, you'll see that come together, the nose cone and all of the other body components. Right, here we go, guys. Let's start rolling into the M&R project. Well, it's putting on its face here. So nose cone final fitment's been done on that, and once we've done the final fitment, it's things like the indicator stalks going in. These are unfortunately an IVA requirement. It's just a distance from the outer. You need that 400mm. You have to go onto these stalks to make sure that they comply. But those have gone on, and what we've then done also for IVA, we've put in the mesh here. Obviously it's two things that does. Stops for impacts, but also it's stone protection for your radiators, things like that. These have a separate headlight bar. So we have ours welded on here. They have a separate headlight bar. Doesn't matter which way you want to do it. This is the way that M&R do it. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely fine. But you have to bolt it through the chassis, which is what we've done. And then we're just figuring out here, we're making in these spaces, because we're looking at the headlight angle here for the 45-degree angle test. We weren't quite sure if we were quite there, so we've made these little spaces just to raise the headlight just here. It's about 1 inch higher, just to make sure it does comply with this 45-degree angle test here as well. Can't see under the nose cone now because it's finally fixed, but oil cooler's gone in. All the pipe work for the intercooler, pipe work for that's gone in up here. The air filter's gone in as well, that ducts it into the turbo, the coolant pipes and the return for the header pipe, this aluminium pipe that's here that runs back to the top of the radiator, that's all in. Doing some fuel lines, turbo feed line has obviously been cut shut and put in there, the turbo feed, so it feeds the oil in here into the turbos, nice and lubricates the bearings, and it shoves it out down the bottom here and returns it back into the sump. So that's been done as well. Battery covers and holder, that's been done. That's been back from powder coats. That's nice and patterned in. Then we've got some cables to run for that, and we've got to finish the lines. This is going to have some AN6 fuel lines in here because it's got all the fillet. He's got a nice billet fuel rail on this car here. Aftermarket, very nice that he's got on here, and it's got these AN fittings, so we just got to make the fuel lines fit into the existing ones there. Then we've gone through, and the centre tunnel has been finally trimmed and fitted, and the handbrake cable has been connected up to the Mazda ones. It's basically a Ford-based Mark II Escort handbrake cable that's used, and we've connected up to cables, and then we'll do the final fit on the centre tunnel. The rear tub has all been fitted as you see before, and the rear arches are on, all the light pods, and so this slides over in one complete unit. A couple of guys put it on there, hopefully getting on for perhaps the last time, because once that's on we can finish just the front end. It's all been done as well, so there's plenty of mock-up. It's been cracking on with that as well, and then yeah, we'll continue the progress. Right, here we go guys, it's MNR time. We're doing the Vortex here with a Mazda Turbo. So many little jobs to do before all the big stuff. It looks like you're not doing anything. It's so frustrating. But silly things like this, making a surround here for the gear lever, what we do is very different with the covers. So we've had to laser cut in a nice little surround with a gator on it to slot over, ready for this to slot over the centre tunnel. That's been done, the gear lever. And a common fault on these is on the Mazdas. In fact, if Lewis jumps over here, we've got to fit a new one of these, because look, it's common on the Mazdas, this gear slit, they crack, so we've got a new one of them to put on before we do the final fit, because otherwise oil can rush out of there, especially when you're at speeds, can come out of there. It makes a bit of a mess. And then we've been on with, again, wiring. So ECU, gone back to what we're doing with the demo cars and the other car here and the Westfield. Loom, ECU, all ready to go in now. What we have to do is take off all the plenum. This has have to come off to route all the wiring through. For here we got throttle position sensors, cam sensors and all of that. All of this has to be run under here, so the plenum comes off, and then collect all the injectors which are tucked down in there, which is the only unfortunate thing. And then while we're there, we've done the fuel line. So we've got AN6 fittings on here. We've got a fuel line, and at the end here, Joseph's made a nice little adapter and a bracket here for the fuel pressure regulator, and then we've plumbed in the lines into the main copper lines down here, which feed back to the fuel tank. While we're under there, battery mount's gone in, that last bracketry, and a nice powder coated, a nice PC 680 battery on there. Then we've done final fitting really on the radiator and intercooler, that's been done, and we've made a nice little shroud here. This will duct some of the cold air over for a cold air feed here for the turbo, so trying to shield some of that hot air coming off the back here. So we start off in a better place for the turbo and everything else. For this turbo, it's a very custom install, so to get the turbo, the way it's mounted here, out, we've had to then get this machine down this bracket, weld on the bracket, this has got to be powder coated or painted, etc. next, to then mount this so that we can get this connected to the intercooler, because there isn't a 90 on here. Now you will say, well, put a straight on and put a rubber tube on and silicone pipe, etc., but sometimes with that pressure with the 90s you can pop them off. So we're just going through reliability and consistency, so we've got that done and then welded that up, and we just get that painted and powder coated as well. So all these little jobs that do take a little bit of time to do, same as the wiring, but that's plug and play now. We're pretty much good on that side of things. So get the turbo plumbed in now. All systems done. Final plumbing's done on that. As you say, that's the link pipe all made, ready for it. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get the bodywork on for the final time, because there's lots of little bits. Like we had to drill out the holes for the seat belts. That's all done now though, and that's all final fit and finish as well. And the handbrake cable's all routed in. That's all fit and finish as well. Fuse boxes, final time, that's all gone in. So a little bit of R&D before you get to the final finished product. And MNR.
No.
Right guys, it's MNR time now. So a little Vortex Mazda Turbo. You've probably been seeing this going on. Next job on this, a bit like the other car over there, was wiring. Quite a lot of it, to be honest with you, to be done. We've got all of these mounted up now, or Neil's done a good job wiring all of these in, all the switch gear, everything else has been done, so that we've got these a bit more plug and play, and again, more identifiable. And ignition key, so it won't be this dashboard. We've got to cut these switches in. We've just done this to prove the concept, put it in now, because this is one of our laser cut dashboards. We have all the switch gear in ready, so we can just plug and play and test it all. So we've got that on. We've got the DD2 wired in, which is a cool little instrument. That's all wired up and lights up, and then everything working in. So side lights, dip beam, you can see that probably shining through, but yeah, dip beam all working, high beam off and on, and yeah, hazard lights, you won't see them on the front because we haven't connected them up yet, but they are working on the rear. Horn, that all works. Indicators all working nicely, and the all important fog light on the rear, which probably said it 100 times to you guys, I don't know, but making sure that when you take the side lights off and then put it back on again, that the fog light doesn't come back on. That's our IVA compliance basically. So yeah, that's a simple thing. So a lot of the wiring's been done. We've just got to now transport that cutting in to which we've got up here, because these have a one-piece scuttle and dash. So we shall cut all that in and drop that bad boy on. And the next job then is the wing stays, which the customers had a change of heart on. Doesn't want to go with the rounded ones, wants our flat top CSR ones, so we'll bolt on a new set of wing stays and change these particular style of wing stay because they don't fit these out at the same time. So yeah, that's a good job, nice and neat and tidy. I like it when the wiring sort of easily accessible and everything else. And if you ever want to take the dashboard off on this, it'd be great because it's just 2 plugs and then you can take the whole lot off, which is what we designed on this, because it's a bit tricky when you haven't got a separate dashboard from a scuttle. So we sort of incorporated that into the loom. Awesome. So yeah, cracking along. Right guys, MNR time, and lots going on with this one as well. We said last week about the wing stays, so we've put our ones on here because we put in the flat top wings on here, which are on the side ready to bond on. So they've been made, bent accordingly, fitted, very strong, nice and sturdy. They've been done. The face has been put on it now, the nose, etc. The nice little bonnet catches, we've got these little black ones that we do. Make them very, very secure because they lock in place, but there's little rubber covers you can buy putting over them just temporarily for IVA. Don't want to run them all the time, there's no point. And then under here, so the bonnet's all been fitted, the bodywork alignment's been done, which is nice, the fit and finish. Under here, lots of plumbing work been finished off under here that you can't really see. Even nice bits to do, like header tank's gone on now, fuel tank's gone on, all the wiring buttoned up underneath, map sensors gone in, all of these little jobs that needed doing. Also we've drilled in and fitted also the side impact bars, just one little tighten up to do on this and a little cover for IVA. Dashboard, as you see last week, has been done, which is great. And tunnel tops, all final fit and finish has been done on that. And we've also carbon sleeved the steering column here as well, which really ties that in. So we've got a little bit tidying up and trimming that to do there, but that's super trick as well. So car's really looking like it should do. And this is the wheel we're going to be running, the CXR. Really nice rim that's on there. This will be down on the ground pretty shortly and ready to fire. It should be literally any day. It's in between videos, guys, we do it. Back panel, don't know if we showed you that last week, the boot panel. That's all been done. I can't remember if that was on last week's or not, but the plastic panel was supplied by the customer. We've made sure that it's a super tight fit on the trim here. So it's sort of velcroed in, so it gives it a hidden fixing really to it as well, rather than like look pretty sharp actually as well. So cleans it up nice and tidy. We like this nice clean look in the dashboard. I think that looks great. There was question marks whether to put that here, but looking through here and where your drivers, it was a bit grey area, so doing it in the centre just works. It's not really out of your eye line, everything works, all your warning lights come up on that, so it seems to work extremely well. So yeah, not ready for the boom noise to come on this one. Right guys, it's MNR time. MNR. Right, let's crack into it. What's been going on? Wing stays have been fitted, we showed you last week. Wings have been now fitted in on, just got to do the final bond on these. Little indicators in here, guys, for your IVA touch, for your 5-degree rear visibility test. We put them in this little corner. They work spot on, little LED jobbies. But the main thing is we had Motorsport Electronics, Edwin, and down here in the week, tweaking it up because we wanted to do the first start. So cut away from me to first start, Lewis.
Go on, give it.
Right, so that's good news. The car is started and running. Yeah, there's some tweaking to do as you always do with these things, but she's all running. Engine sounds strong and good. That's good. So next job was side impact bars. We've been fitting those. Well, one side's on this side. This side has been fitted. We've cut the holes ready for it. We got that job done here. That's all fitted, just got to be bolted up the last time. And you're wondering why this all tipped upside down. Well, we're just fitting the last job, which is the immobiliser, which is here. Little immobiliser, which for IVA, if you need two forms of immobilisation on a car, basically, if you've got a steering lock and a key, that works because you've got a steering lock and a key. There's two forms. If not, you ain't got a steering lock, then you need to put an immobiliser on. So this is get bolted in, going into, and we'll make sure that isolates fuel pump, spark, etc. So we normally do 2 or 3 components, so you can't start the vehicle without the fob. So that will then go back on. Interior sections fitted in for the last time. That's done as well. Really, it's going to get its boots on pretty shortly, and it'll be on the ground. But we took all these bits off just to check for leaks when we started it up and ran it up and everything else. Bonnet catches were done last week. I don't know if we showed you that. Bonnet catches are done, the nice one, and brakes have been bled up as well. So these are all done. There Willwood kit on it that's on there, etc. as well. So lots of little jobs now that are really on the final stretch and hurdle on this, and again it transforms. These kind of side impact bars give it a real different look to the car, which is, yeah, very different. We'll have to get some covers for these because of IVA, guys. You can't have this. Probably think it's stupid, but yeah, that has to have a cover to have a 2.5mm radius, otherwise that will fail. But we'll get some covers made or sort them out in some kind of plastic cap as well. So yeah, fingers crossed now. Get this done and get it then to IVA. Not long away now. Mazda turbo time is out of the build bays now and onto the stand here. It's been on the lift actually, because we just go through it for IVA. We're starting to get into the little details, like just some wing mirrors to bolt on and fuel filler cap to put in, and now we're doing it like a pressure test on the engine. So a little dry system here, say running it up to check it, or we can check it cold. We put a few PSI, we'll set that where it's green. For example, we pump this little system up. What we've got in here, we'll get up to 15 psi, there we go, and we'll set that, and now that pressurizes all the system, which is really easy, and then we can see if there's any little leaks here and we need to nip up some Jubilee clips or etc. Saves you running it up, getting it all hot, and then you've got to dip it up afterwards. We will check that again, but that's the first preliminary test we always do, and then we'll finish off with the rocker cover bolted on, and then we'll just basically tap that into the oil catch tank here. So yeah, seats have gone in, seat belt harnesses are in, they're really nice, all really smart in here. We've got the boot cover panel here all done. This is all in as well, nice and neat and tidy in the back end with the Mazda diff fuel tank, and it's just the one little job here, which is the fuel filler cap, which we've got next to put in. Everything else is all systems done on this side, ready with the cat silencer in, ready to do the tuning. So now we know it all runs, guys. If you saw the other week, it all runs. It's been up the rank because we've bled all the brake system as well now, so all the brakes are good. Checked all of those right the way through, and now, as I said, it's really little things like we've put in the fog light. We just got to finalise the wiring on that for the switch, so making it IVA compatible. And if you need to know anything about IVA, etc., we've done a couple of videos now that are out there, and Lewis will pop you up a link if you're unsure about IVA stuff, sort of top 60 tips that we've done on the internet, etc. as well, and that really helps get you guys through the process. We're here to help if we can, and the video don't answer your question, fire us an email, messenger or something, and we'll try and steer you through it. This car is pretty much buttoned up. We've got an IVA date already booked in for this now, just into the new year, and we've just got a couple of bits to do, which is wing mirrors, that's it really, but everything else is done. Under the bonnet's nice and clean and tidy now. We've just got a couple of Jubilee clips to put on the oil catch tank, but we've done all the aim fittings for the breathers here, which is nice and neat and tidy, and we drilled and tapped that out, etc. So yeah, engine bay's super clean, nice and tidy there, into an oil catch tank, battery, everything's nice and neat and tidy, as you want to for IVA, especially for IVA. You don't want to look at a bit of a mess under there. She's on the ground, all the geo has been done, she's set up, everything works, she starts and runs, got 2 jobs left to do, which is just the wing mirrors and emissions. That is it. She's ready to go. Yeah, it looks good now she's on the ground, and the stance looks good on it. Lick a polish at some point over her once we've got it all up, but other than that, yeah, fully built. I've got to say, do like the colour combination. I think that's what's turned out best on this particular car. It is looking rather sharp. It's kind of a weird colour that I wouldn't have ever put together, but whoever chose it, tick if it was a customer, hashtag Sean, then hats off to him. Gotta say, I like it a lot. Right, while we're on the theme of earlier, speaking about IVA tests, the MNR, you've probably seen the build progressing on this one, guys. It's all finished and done and been through its IVA test and all passed. No issues at all ready to go to its new owner, ready for collection. And yeah, it's been a nice little project actually. It's very different to what we do. and you know, it's a bit different to how they all go, but very similar, very similar. So a few bits of our touches have gone on it. We've got our wing stays, and my guys are custom one instead of the original round ones, and a few other bits where we've indicators. These are out here, you probably think, oh, they look silly, but unfortunately, to get compliance for IVA being 400mm from here to here, you have to have these long indicator extensions, and a few other bits like these mirrors for the centre, etc., just to make sure they're compliant and the mirrors are all on here. But other than that, this car is all buttoned up. It's again another Mazda turbo engine. I'm thinking, well, this has got going to dyno yet, but will make very good power, I'm pretty sure, because it's got quite a big turbo on it, and the engine's been built, I've been informed by the customer, but good stopping power. It's got wheelwoods on the front, vented, and it's got cross-drill and groove stand on the back, so it's plenty good. I think it came in around 650 kilos in terms of weight. But you'd expect that. It's got a cage and everything else, and a turbo and all of that sort of thing. So you kind of expect it to come in around there with the sidebars, and it's all that little bit extra weight. So 650 kgs is not bad really, because it's going to have huge horsepower to push it along. So that's all buttoned up. Getting ready now for the spring and the sunshine.